Moscato.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Cheers.
And happy Friday. Happy wind down. Happy Thanksgiving to our American friends and colleagues.
Yes, because you celebrated what hasn't been quite a month ago, like a few weeks ago, right?
No, over a month ago.
Was it over a month already?
Yeah, beginning of October.
Yeah, we've been fascinated by the whole Thanksgiving tradition. And last night, Kirk and I were digging into like the history of Thanksgiving and why do we. I mean, the whole concept of I get why we do it, and I love the fact that we get together and give thanks and have time for that. But we were looking into the fact that it really wasn't an every year thing back in the day, and so we were just. And then you're sitting there going, okay, do all countries have a form of Thanksgiving now? Obviously, not with Pilgrims and American Indians, but I'm assuming there's a time of thanks everywhere.
I don't know. Our Thanksgiving is not as big a deal as yours.
Yeah,
like,
here
do it.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, well, I think the commercialism of all holidays in America has gotten. I mean, the thing that makes me sad is how many places the stores open and how many people, including parts of my family, who go shopping on Thanksgiving night. Like they go crazy shopping, starting shopping. I'm like, have you ever heard of the internet? Like, let's stay home. So yeah. So happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays, and whatever those holidays may be. Yeah. And what is interesting is that your Thanksgiving is kind of the launch of the holiday season.
Right.
We are officially in
holiday mode. Yeah.
So it's like count the days yesterday. I actually counted the days that I have or the weeks that I have until Christmas. And
so I want to hear, if there's anyone who is watching this, I want you to tell us if you have been out shopping. If you have already been to a mall or a store of any sort, not online, but just out. I saw people in line everywhere.
Well, Jared just came back.
He did.
Yes, but we had a good reason. We had a good reason is that I wanted a new iPhone, and the store gave us a really, really good deal that we couldn't get online. But the funny thing was, so Jared went to the mall and it was packed, but the Bell store where we went to get the phone, he went to get the phone, nothing.
No,
served right away, came
nice.
So,
yeah, that's
it's like Boxing Day. You could give the stuff to me for free.
Right.
And I would not.
Yeah, I wouldn't go stand in line.
Stand in line and stand in line for hours before the store opens.
I'm just like, no, when I can order it and have it delivered to my door and call it good, I'm done. I just despise going to malls lately. So but I am down in Arizona. So we celebrated on Sunday. Last Sunday we had our Thanksgiving dinner with all the family in Colorado. And then Kirk and I decided, since all of our kids were with their in-laws, we decided to take the dogs and drive to Arizona. And so it's very hot here, but I thought it seemed more holiday festive to put on a fur vest. So I'll be sweating during this because it's
I'm surprised you even have a fur vest in Arizona. Like, why do you even have that with you?
Well, at night here, it is still chilly. So it drops down to like in the 50s, 40s and 50s. At night. And so when we've been going out to eat or something, and so I brought it just to look festive, but whoo, it's hot right now.
Well, we've seen you now.
Yeah.
Would you like to take it off?
Yeah. I might have to start stripping down. This could turn into a whole different show.
It could. It could. Yeah.
Suddenly the viewership could spike. So yeah. And this week I was excited because I saw a commercial. So I love commercials. And I mean, you and I are always talking about the fun commercials that we come across. And what was interesting about this one and what sparked the topic of binge, well, obviously this is a week of binging on everything, food and sports. And today, I don't know if Jared's watching the big golf. There's a big golf pay-per-view event going on right now between, I'm going to probably blow up, but I think it's Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods. And so it's sports binge week, and especially this weekend. And then, binge content is what I wanted to talk about, is what content do we binge, listen to, read, or watch, and why? And how could we take some tips from that? So what happened was, and I'm going to show a clip because I was walking by and the TV was on, and it actually stopped me because it was intriguing. The commercial was intriguing, which I'm going to say that was the first part of it. And then it ended. So I didn't even get to see, like, I didn't get it. So then maybe the next day or a few hours later, I saw it again, and I was intrigued and I was drawn in and I wanted to watch it again. And I saw a little bit more of it, but then I thought there has to be more to the story. So I actually went online to see the full version of it. And that made me think, okay, how do you create, obviously with a big budget that this one has, but how do you create binge-worthy content that people are intrigued, that they are drawn in, and that they want more of? And so I'm going to show this commercial, and I'm curious how many of you have already seen this. So let's see, I'm going to.
Afterwards, how you did that you can show a commercial and be live.
It's on YouTube.
But okay. So
I'm going to share my desktop.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, share my desktop. And then I'm going to, okay, so I'm sharing my desktop. Let's move that up to, there we go. Moving it up. And then I want to make that one big. So let's see if I can figure that part out. Okay, so yes, share. And let's see if it will make the right one big. Nope, let's make it me big. There we go. Okay, it's making it bigger. Okay, so let me switch over. Here we go. I don't know if you can hear the sound.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
When we talk, you say it softly, but I love it when you're awfully quiet. You see, piece of paper could be a little greater. Show me that you can make her. You'll never know until you try it. You don't have to keep it quiet. And I know it makes you nervous, but I promise you it's worth it. To show everything kept inside. Don't hide. Too shy to say, but I hope you stay. Don't hide. Either way, come on and you don't have to keep it quiet. Makes you nervous, but I promise you it's to show everything I kept inside. Don't hide. Don't hide. Too shy to say, but I hope you stay. Don't hide. Come on and play.
Ah.
Okay, do you have goosebumps?
Well, probably not the same as you, just because it's small and far away. And
I literally watched that over and over.
who's it by? Like who?
That's exactly the first time I saw it. Well, obviously on TV, it was a very short version. This was the full length version. And at the end, I was like, okay, what was that for? What was the commercial for? It was Apple, and very subtle little things. You see her on her Apple computer. You see a couple things that tell you it's an Apple commercial because they're showing an Apple product.
Right.
But it was all about the concept of sharing our gifts. And then I just thought it had such a powerful message with no words. It has such a powerful message of how many of us create things, but we're embarrassed. We don't think they're good enough. Tied in so beautifully with what we've been talking about the last few weeks.
Right.
And I just was so moved by it. I thought, wow, that commercial. Now I'm curious if that was done by a group that's going to submit it as a short film or something, but
Right.
loved it.
Yeah.
And it was very intriguing. Number one, because it's a type of animation that you don't see in commercials.
Right.
So the different factor, when I first walked by and saw it, I had to stop to see what was I seeing on TV.
Right.
And then, looking at what does it take to create binge-worthy content, I really think is somehow, and I'm looking at overall our brand binge-worthy, as well as is a content that we create binge-worthy. And so I was trying to look at that piece of content and say, what was it? What was it about that made it so interesting?
And I guess though there's a whole other element to binge, right? And knowing that this was our topic today, I kind of did a lot of thinking about what I binge, what I do and don't binge on Netflix and those kinds of, with streaming now, it's so easy to binge.
Right.
And I was thinking about, well, first of all, the definition of binge means that you engage in more than one piece of content at a time. Right? The whole concept of binging means, it's interesting because binging usually has a connotation of too much. I ate too much, I drank too much. But binging now has become kind of synonymous with, oh, isn't it great that I can binge this? So the whole word has changed in terms of its, its baggage, if you will. But, and I tried to think about what content I binge that's business content.
Yeah, and
not much. I mean, I have my favorites. John Morrow, I go to his blog. I know you probably do more binging than I do. I binge research. So that's like, I'll if I find stuff that's exciting online, I'm constantly looking for more of those things or more about that thing. But I know that you have podcasts that you listen to and you binge those podcasts. I don't do that.
One recently, I told you about this woman that did a podcast and she had 80 plus episodes. I listened to every single one of them within like a week and a half. And they were
just over the course of
a week, like when I would go for walks, I would put it on and they were 20 to 40 minutes in length. So they were good length. So I was listening to a couple, anytime I was in the car, I turned it on and got through it. I did have a flight that I binged, listened to hers. So I had some periods of time when I was able to get through a lot of it, but they were so good. So to me, what made
it binge-worthy?
What made it binge-worthy is they were, like I always say, it has to be interesting or helpful. Hers was helpful. She was interesting as well. Like she had a good tone of voice. So for a podcast, if somebody has a very dry delivery, I have a hard time binging. So there has to be an element of the intrigue was there because her topic was intriguing to me. But then the content was so good, I kept going. And if it wouldn't have been good, I would have stopped. So
yeah, so I think that's part of it. When I guess the only example that I have is when I do go, I rarely discover new sites now when I'm looking because I have the sites I go to find specific information. So I will go to John Morrow's site on blogging and writing and all of that kind of stuff. And I will binge through several articles. I might not read them all, the whole article. But I don't know. I mean, what makes something binge worthy? If you think about it from an entertainment point of view or a TV point of view or something, it's because it's got a great story. You're intrigued, like you described this. It's got great characters, and you want to know. I think this is the thing that occurred to me, is that you want to know what happens next.
Right.
You want to know what happens next.
I want more.
I want more.
Yeah.
I want more. And so I guess it's what makes somebody want more. And I don't know how many, I mean, I may be the exception to the rule, or you may be the exception to the rule, or we may both be exceptions to the rule. I don't know. But in this day where I get notified if the blogs that I follow have a new episode or something,
right,
I will read that, but I won't go in at that moment and binge. Because, you know, I've gotten notified of the new thing, and so I've gone and I've listened to it. So it almost has to be a new discovery for me to binge.
I was just gonna say, there's that first element where there has to be something that intrigues you.
Yeah.
So once it's regular, there's no more intrigue.
Well, there should be enough intrigue to open the email. There should be enough intrigue to go to the site, to read it, to watch it, to listen to it, whatever it is.
Right.
But there's no more intrigue past that piece of content. And binge means I do more than one.
Right. I want more than just this one, which is interesting, because I look at that and say, when we're creating content, to me, if you wanted to create more binge-worthy content, you could create a series.
Yes, that's
so
true.
That if someone reads, let's say, the second or third one, they want to go back.
Yes.
Because you mention other content, which when you think about it, if you're writing a blog or doing a video or doing a podcast, to reference other content will help it.
Those backlinks are huge.
Yeah, it can become more binge-worthy if you're wanting people to go a little deeper on this. And you know what? I've got this content I just wrote, or or it's coming next week. So they're going to be ready to binge that next one.
Yeah.
And so I think that, number one, it has to be good enough.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about the characters, because I think often in our business writing, we don't think that we can write characters into our blog posts or into our content, our web.
We are the character.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I had a client that everything she wrote, it was literally, she was this hero that it was almost nauseating to read, because it was like, you can't say how great you are in your own content. And it was, and I remember I was trying to have this conversation with her and say, is there a lesson that let's say that I'm the reader, I want to know how I can learn, take your great moment and look at it. What were the nuggets that I learned, and how can I share that in a way that helps you be the hero? I'm just helping you become the hero in the story. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. And I know when I'm writing, a lot of times I'm so focused on its content and its how to. And it was interesting because this past week, my son's website went down. And I don't even know that he ever looks at his website. I set up his Facebook page. I set up his website. I wrote all the copy. Well, I didn't think of keeping copies of all his web copy, because I don't know, I was just doing it for him as a favor. Well, then when it went down, I thought, okay, do you have any of this? Of course not. So I had to redo all the copy on his website, and I redid his whole entire website. And it was interesting, as I was writing it this time, I wrote it really different. And I was really excited, because I wrote into it how to be the hero in your own home, and these pieces of funny content that I was like at the end going, this is the best web copy ever. And then I was like, he won't even look at it. But I started thinking, I need to go back, and all of us do, go back and look at our copy with that fresh eye of, are we writing it with the sense of, I want people to want more. I want them to finish a blog post and go, I love the way that was written, or I love that video. I want to read another one. Yeah. Please, sir, may I have another?
May I have more? May I have some more?
May I have some more? And I just thought that video, when I happened to see that commercial, obviously Apple has a humongous budget, and it's around the holidays. but it was such a powerful story told in a way that's not overtly Apple being the hero. As a matter of fact, you never really think about Apple being the hero. So then I thought, how could we take that up? How can we take that? What do we do that helps tell a story that maybe we're in the background? We're just a billboard in the background of the story that we could create. And then if we looked at it as a series,
yeah, I think the whole idea of a series is really good.
yeah.
And you got my brain going, because I think that does create some mystery and
Right.
what's going to happen next.
Next.
If it's written well or filmed well or that kind of thing. I would wonder if sometimes you're not so subtle, not you, but that commercial isn't so subtle that you don't connect it to Apple, and therefore it doesn't really do the brand. So I think there's a happy medium between screaming in my face that it's you and just being so subtle. You don't know. I often give the example in my presentations about, people who see this great commercial and they're at the water cooler the next day at work and everybody's going, "Did you see that commercial? It was so great." And somebody goes, "Who did it?" And everybody goes,
I don't know.
"I don't know."
Yeah.
You've got people talking about it, but they're not talking about you. They're talking about the commercial. And so, there is a fine line there.
Although it was interesting because it made me think of, I think it was a Super Bowl last year when Tide did those commercials where they weren't in, where it wasn't about Tide,
But it was.
Is that what Apple's going for in this one?
Well, if that was what they were going for, they did not succeed the way. Every of the series was, "This is not a Tide commercial."
Right.
Everybody was tweeting, "This is not a Tide commercial, not a Tide commercial, not a Tide commercial."
And I was thinking, I wonder if Apple's trying to do something. Well, to me, the first thing I thought was they're trying to be in the background, that sharing your gifts, you're using their products to share your gifts. Although it was interesting, and I'm sure we'll be seeing that commercial over and over and over this holiday season. She was in the bakery. I don't know how that had to do with Apple. So she wasn't taking pictures, but it's interesting trying to look at how they're weaving that, the fact that it's Apple. But it made me think of, okay, how do you create series? I even like the way, okay, this is a 2.5 or 3 minute video, but I only saw on TV 30-second commercials. So how can we take our content, and we do this a lot, we talk about this, you and I, but how do we take a longer video and then break it into smaller pieces that maybe people watch on Instagram or
so people want to go see the rest.
And then it pulls them in if they want to see the whole thing. It pulls them back to your website to see the whole thing. And I think that's another really good lesson that we can do to kind of pull people in. If it's binge worthy, then they're going to come closer in that sense, and creating that content that pulls people in. Because I always gotta say, you've got to be intriguing. There has to be something about you from the very first touch point. People have to be intrigued enough to want to come a little closer, and we've all been to networking events where people are not intriguing and we don't want them coming closer.
It's really interesting because I am very fascinated by opening lines in books. I have a whole collection of my favorite opening lines in books. My favorite one of all time is, "On the 5th day, they found the body." Okay. I'm hooked. I'm in. I want to know the 5th day of what, whose body, where'd they find it, whatever. I love that kind of stuff. And so in the writing of my book, one of the things that I tried to do, even though it's a business book, did I lose you, Gina? I think Gina's gone. There she is. Oh.
I don't know what's going on. There we go.
You might want to, there you go. Anyway, so even though it's a business book, I was trying to leave people hanging at the end of every chapter. So that they would want, like you do in a novel, to
Yeah.
turn the page,
Right.
and to see what's coming next. A little harder order in a business book than a fiction book. But what that got me thinking about when I heard your topic and your suggestion for today is, how do we do that in our content? We've almost been taught that each piece of content needs to have a beginning and a middle and an end.
True.
But if it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, is it not more difficult to make it binge-worthy?
Well, and that's, it's interesting because think about the TV shows that we watch. So there are some that it's an episode and it's episodic. It's beginning, middle, end. It wraps up nicely. This crime is solved and everybody's happy. And we tune in next time because we know it's going to be another one that's
But
just.
I'm not sure we binge those. Like, maybe we do. But if I think about the shows when Jer and I are sitting there going, okay, one more.
I have to know what
go to
happened.
bed, but
Yeah.
I'm going to watch one more. It's because it was a cliffhanger.
Serial ones. Yeah.
Because you get to the end and you go, oh no, the one we can't binge watch it right now because it's just on once a week, is How to Get Away with Murder. And at the end of every episode, Jer and I go, oh, they did it again. and one of the techniques is by starting at the end, they show you the scene that you really don't understand. Have you ever watched How to Get Away with Murder?
No.
Oh, you got you. And they show you a scene, and over the course of the shows, they reveal a little bit more detail of that scene at the end and everything. And so they'll show you the scene, and then they'll go 3 months earlier for the rest of the episode.
Right.
And then they get a little more of the scene 6 weeks or whatever it is. But that element of mystery, that element of, I have to stay up,
Yeah.
like a good book, like a great whatever, is because I've been left hanging and I need to click more to
Right.
find out what's going to happen. So I'm curious about what would happen if we wrote,
Yeah.
I'm going to write business content that left people hanging.
And I
then
just was listening.
to find out what was going to happen.
I just listened to a podcast this week, and the guy said, I recorded two. It was I think it was Donald Miller's story brand. It might have been Donald Miller, but he had done 2 interviews back to back, and they went together. But at the end of one, he said, I want to tell you how it went. I think it was his. And it was that concept of, but you have to wait till next week because that's when we're going to air it. And I thought that we could do that easily with a series, whether it's 2 or whether it's 3. Sometimes we have the need, and I know a lot of times when you write content or you're a speaker or you're doing video, you feel the need to just vomit it all at the same time. Like, I just need to tell you everything that I know about this topic. Instead of looking at it saying, could I create a series of 3 and go a little deeper on each one and leave those little cliffhangers?
Yeah. And even on a regular blog. So you're right. And in fact, I'm thinking about the one I'm putting out on Tuesday.
I know.
I know. You write it. And at the end of it, you go, now here's the thing. What we didn't talk about was this.
Yeah.
That's, because if you think about it, if you look on all the blogs and where there are the excerpts,
Right.
read more,
Right.
that is a whole art in itself.
It is.
People spent thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars just figuring out how to get people to click on that read more. That's the philosophy behind the binge thing, right? It's because you get to that point, you go, okay, well, now you've left me hanging. Now I need to go through to find out what this is. And so I think we could all loosen up and experiment a little more with that and see if we could leave those cliffhangers.
And it's not easy. I think the reason we don't is it takes time to plan it like that, to think through what could I leave. Or I mean, and again, it could be that it's an episode all in itself, but could you allude to another blog post that you wrote earlier and at least create that binge worthiness to go back and read that one? Or like, I love what you do is you write a blog post and you say, I have a video or a podcast on this topic where you went maybe a little different spin on it.
Yeah.
And that's binge worthy because you're keeping people on your website longer. And so there's a big benefit to that when you look at. So I think we could all take people a little deeper into our content and take them on a little journey on our website.
Yeah.
More binge-worthy content.
And I think, you know, last week we talked about going beyond the obvious, and the obvious technique in what you and I are talking about today are the backlinks. Everybody talks about that. If you've got another article that deals with this, highlight it, underline it, and but that's the obvious stuff. And that's also the easier stuff. Okay. And the more content you have, the easier it is to go back and put those links in.
Right.
The idea, I love what you just said, which is actually crafting it from the beginning. Okay. My next 5 blogs, even if they're not officially a series, are going to be designed to be binge worthy. And I think the other thing is the people who will binge them are not necessarily the people on your list.
Right. Because they're not the first ones to read. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's the ones that happen upon the third.
Yeah. It's the, like we said Monday, it's that one person that goes to your site from Pinterest. That goes into the most amazing content there for 8 minutes and visited 4 pages. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? But I think it's a fantastic project.
Yeah.
To say, now I'm creating a binge-worthy unofficial series of content where they're all linked and everyone has a cliffhanger ending. How cool would that be?
That would be super cool. Yeah, especially, again, my brain is now going. There's so many ways you could have fun with that. And again, just make them short series. They don't have to be 10 series. They don't have to be, you know, season 1, season 2, but make them think binge-worthy a little more. Because, you know, whenever people say, well, we have to write content or create content for today's attention-starved audience, baloney. We spend hours binging. I have binged so many people's content.
There is no attention span problem in our culture.
There's not.
People have just lost the art of holding people's attention. But another thing, because we're running out of time, and I want to share another tactic, and we've used this, and I know lots of people do, is when you're doing lists, right? So we did a video called Business Card Boredom.
Right.
It is one of our highest watched videos ever, literally thousands of views. So we did another one that is going to come out in a few weeks called More Business Card Boredom. Okay, so what will happen is somebody will go to More Business Card Boredom, and in the copy, they'll see that it is part 2, essentially, of something else. And that's where I have binged. If I've gone looking for a list of something and I've seen it's part 3 or part 4, you know, this is more Business Card Boredom or something, I do binge them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an easy tactic for all of us to use too.
I agree. So it's not impossible for us to do.
No.
Even though we don't have the budget of Apple, that inspired me to look at how we can be more creative and binge worthy with our content. So,
and I think we need to plan.
Right.
And audition some ideas. I just had to get that.
That's gonna haunt me forever.
We need to audition some ideas to see if we can make it more binge-worthy.
That's right. Well, as we all come off of our eating binges this week.
You come off of your eating binge.
Yeah. We can now move from food and shopping to our content.
And sports to content.
Yeah, we can stick to content.
Yeah. And I love to hear, I know that, you know, we've done this on the Thanksgiving weekend and people are probably and hopefully off with their families but if you do watch the replay, try any of these ideas. I'm gonna bring it up in our group too. I just think that I think it's a challenge. And the other thing it makes me think of, did you ever watch The Sopranos?
I didn't. See, I'm always like, if it's present day violence, past violence, future violence.
It took me a long time to get to watch it, but I finally did. But what I really wanted to mention was the very last show of the series. And I did a blog about this years ago. On the very last show of the series, they're sitting in a diner, and you hear the door open and the bell ring of the door, and the series ends.
Yeah, and I didn't watch it, but I heard that. It's nuts. Yeah,
people went nuts. They created their own endings on the like. That's that whole thing of no, you're not going to leave me hanging. No. You need to tell me what happens next. That's the key. People want to know what's going to happen next.
You're drawing them in. If they came out right now with one show of the last scene of The Sopranos, people would
Everybody would watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Happy holidays, my friend.
You happy holidays.
And go take off your fur.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Whoo! I'm already sweating.
Yeah. You look gorgeous. You look gorgeous.
I look festive.
You look festive. Okay, run, but lovely to see you. Yes.
Cheers.
Wind Down will be back next week.
Same bat channel, same bat time.
Same wine channel, same. There's something.
Same something.
And I like to think people binge watch Wind Down, but
well, I know they do because I have people that tell me I sit and watch all of them, which I say you need to get a life. But you know what? I'm glad that they do.
Worthy.
Yes. Oh,